on the part of Facebook. And Facebook has also said here that lesser forms of manipulation will be allowed. And so that's created a whole sort of controversy here about whether there are some loopholes that malicious actors could exploit to still spread misinformation online.
What's their reasoning for these, I guess you're calling them loopholes?
Right, it all comes back to Facebook's idea that it is not the arbiter of speech. Facebook really doesn't want to be in the place where it's telling people what's true and what's false. And then you add into the fact the difficulty of determining what's manipulated or determining what qualifies as parody and satire. And Facebook typically wants to err on the side of allowing people to express themselves rather than shutting down that speech. It would rather some of that bad stuff go out and then after the fact police it rather than ban it outright. Now, that's not set well with lawmakers and experts and others who remember all too well that in 2016, during the presidential election, there were malicious actors from Russia that sought to spread misinformation and exploit loopholes at companies like Facebook to weaponize those social media platforms. So the concern here is that the same thing could happen under Facebook's new deepfake policy.
And yet they make this announcement just before they are supposed to offer testimony before House lawmakers. What are the politics that they're walking into?
Yeah, it's funny how that works. Typically, Facebook does these things in time for congressional hearings. And the politics they're walking into, it's really two issues here. The first is that there are a lot of Democrats who think that Facebook and its tech industry peers still haven't done enough in the aftermath of the 2016 election to ensure that the 2020 election isn't riddled with disinformation that could affect how people think about the candidates or how they vote at the end of the day. And the second issue is that there's still widespread concern that this deepfake policy isn't going to prevent the kinds of abuse that we've seen in the past. So you may remember about a year ago, there was a video of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi that had made the rounds on Facebook. It was doctored to make her look like she was drunk. Essentially, it was sped down, so she appeared to be inebriated. Now, if you talk to experts, they don't call that a deep fake, they call that a cheap fake, because it was made using less expensive technology, it wasn't artificial intelligence, and that kind of video would still be allowed under Facebook's policy. Facebook says it would fact check it, but it wouldn't outright ban it. And so there are a lot of concerns that that kind of thing could plague the 2020 election and the candidates running.
That's Tony Romm, senior tech policy reporter for the Washington Post. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
You're listening to All Things Considered from NPR News. For veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan, the killing of Iran's top general in Iraq last week brings new urgency to a familiar debate. Is it time for America to end 2 decades of war? NPR's Quill Lawrence reports.
It's a less and less partisan debate, at least among vets. So much that 2 diametrically opposed veterans lobby groups have formed a coalition on the issue of ending these wars and avoiding new ones. John Soltz is an Iraq vet from the liberal group Vote Vets.
Neither VoteVets.org or our conservative counterpart in this coalition, Concerned Veterans, we're not anti-war organizations. It doesn't mean that we just fight wars all over the world forever. These endless entanglements that cost trillions of dollars and thousands of lives.
See you next time.
Because they're not making us safer.
Nate Anderson leads Concerned Veterans.